This is KCTV 5 News at 5.
I didn't know if you had a gun or a knife or anything like that.
Now at 5, a maintenance man explains how a note helped crack a disturbing case in Johnson County at these apartments in Lenexa. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brad Stevens.
And I'm Ellen McNamara. Anthony Darrell Allen is now charged with kidnapping and 2 counts of rape in this case. We have live in-depth coverage with KCTV5's Emily Rittman, who was in court with the suspect and the victim today. We start, though, with Heather Staggers, who is in Lenexa, with how the woman was able to escape.
It was here at the Lenexa Point Apartments where a manager noticed a note. That note was a cry for help, and they answered. Michael Reyes is the maintenance technician at the Lenexa Point Apartments. He was on duty Sunday night when he got a strange call from his manager.
She told me to walk over, nonchalantly, like everything's all right, because I didn't know what was going on.
That's because the manager found a note while doing rent payments. Beth Galley was not available to speak with us on camera, but she told me on the phone that the note said, quote, "Do not call police, but send help." Beth did call police, and they devised a plan. They pretended there was a maintenance issue inside her apartment.
I just said that there was a water issue downstairs coming from upstairs, and I just wanted her to step outside so I can talk to her about it. And then when I got out around the corner out of his sight, I told her to get downstairs because the cops were downstairs waiting around the corner for me to do that.
Michael said the anxiety of it all was overwhelming.
And I couldn't feel the feelings in my fingers, like they just went numb. I wasn't scared. I was a little nervous for her, mainly just wanted to get her out of there.
What happened next led to a nearly 3-hour standoff between Lenexa police and Anthony Darrell Allen, who would not leave the apartment. This is video of that tense situation you first saw on KCTV5 Sunday night. Allen was later charged with kidnapping and 2 counts of rape. Neighbors were concerned and on alert.
I wouldn't even think that here in this area, just out here, but yes, it's going on. I mean, you never know these days.
Reyes says he doesn't feel like he did much, but to the victim, finding and acting on that note might have saved her life. The man accused of kidnapping and raping the woman struggled to the stand as he heard the charges read against him. KCTV5's Emily Rittman was in that courtroom. Emily, what happened?
Well, Heather, inside that courtroom, Anthony Darrell Allen asked the judge to read the charges against him in full detail. And we want to give you a look at what happened as he realized the seriousness of those charges. He began to sort of sway back and forth and was rubbing his face and neck, and then even used the wall to hold himself up. Then they were able to bring him in a chair, and he then sat down for the rest of his first appearance. Anthony Darrell Allen is charged with aggravated kidnapping and 2 counts of rape. The assistant district attorney told the judge this is the 3rd time that Allen is accused of domestic violence. He says in the past he was accused of trying to restrain a woman. Prosecutors filed charges in Riley County, Kansas, and in Minnesota. In this case, the DA says that Allen threatened to kill the woman on an almost daily basis for 4 months. He's also accused of raping her at least twice. During this hearing today, the woman did stand in the courtroom and she held a tissue, and she had several victim advocates supporting her through this whole process. And we did ask her if she felt like speaking today, and she said that no, she did not. But we do know that he is being held on a $500,000 bond, and if he is able to post that bond, that he will then be placed on house arrest. Reporting from Olathe, Emily Rittman, KCTV5 News.
Emily, thank you. Allen will be back in court on August 13th, and we will continue to follow this story for you. If you go online to KCTV5.com, we have more background on the case, including details from that Sunday standoff that brought the entire case to light.
New at 5, the search is on for a gunman in Kansas City right now. Chopper 5 flew over the scene just after 3 this afternoon. This is near 60th and Cleveland. Police found a man in a car who had been shot. He was rushed to a hospital in critical condition.
We can hear the rain coming down in Fairway now. Let's get straight to Storm Track 5 Chief Meteorologist Chris Suchan, who's tracking storms. Chris.
They're not severe storms, Ellen. There are no warnings for these storms, but they are pushing out some 35, 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts and very heavy rain with lightning. So those are the main hazards right now and impacting the commute. Let's take you to our CityCam network. And this is the way it looks right now in Johnson County. That's I-35, 75th Street. I was talking about in our newscast last hour how this was going to be an area seeing some real heavy rains, slowing down that ride home. And there you see it setting in. Let me show you it moving into the Legends here. This is the view from Nebraska Furniture Mart. You can see that real turbulent sky coming over the Speedway there at Sporting Park, and eventually very heavy rain going to be hitting here, all those shoppers that are out there at the stores there at the Legends. So here on Live Power Doppler radar, very heavy rain. You see I have live lightning on, so you see that's one of the main hazards. There have been some reports of a few power outages because of the lightning coming through with these storms. Arcing down into the Cass County around Peculiar, Belton. They're lifting off to the north, and then down into Henry County. You see all the way from Garden City right down into downtown Clinton is where we have this line of storms. And let's put a track here on this batch coming into the metro right here, the leading edge of it, working into Johnson, Jackson County. We'll lift them up to the north at about 25. Roland Park 507, there you have KCK 518, and of course Lee's Summit. They'll be with us for a couple of hours. By later this evening, they'll fall apart. So don't cancel those mid-late evening plans just yet, as it will dry out across our area. Brad, Ellen?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, we are working to find out new information right now about a crash that shut down a stretch of street near 103rd and Mission in Overland Park. Police say a man driving a Mazda first crashed into a car near 95th and Mission and then kept going until he slammed into two other cars and an SUV just a few blocks away. There were guns found in that driver's car. The driver and a second person in a different car were hurt.
We're learning more about what led several townhomes to be evacuated earlier today. We're told a contractor hit a gas line while working near the Warwick Court townhomes near 36th and McGee Street in Kansas City. 7 buildings nearby, including the townhomes, were evacuated for a brief time. Crews spent several hours working to repair that leak.
Your training camp coverage continues all week long on your home of the Chiefs. Being in the NFL for a newcomer must be an eye-opening experience. I wouldn't know, obviously. And many rookies are still fighting for their spot on the team and on the field.
KCTV5 Sports Director Michael Coleman is live in St. Joseph. And Michael, being a rookie and learning to adapt to a new level of football probably is tough.
Ellen, their head is on a swivel every time they're on the field. Now, the Chiefs' offensive line, they need a little bit of help, and the guy that they're hoping can help them out, can close that gap, is, yes, his name is Mitch Morse. He's trying to make an impression. This guy is huge, 6'5", 305 pounds. He's very quick. He's no pushover, as you can imagine. Take it in the second round. Morse is much to live up to. Even he's surprised how many guys on this team are good.
You know, I knew once Mike DeVito put the pads on, he was going to be a strong man. Just look at the guy. But, you know, all those guys are big and strong guys. I think Jay Howard's an incredibly strong guy. All three of them, I mean, you talk about each, you single out each and every one of them. They got their perks, and their game is amplified with pads.
Amplified with pads. Again, 6'5", 305. If they're big to him, wow, they must really be big. Meanwhile, I call them the unsung heroes. These are the guys, the equipment crew that come to practice often before the players do and are the last ones to leave. But as Nathan Vickers shows us, just like the players, they too have a passion for what they do.
They're everywhere, constantly on the move. In the stands, you probably never noticed them. But equipment managers like Alan Wright believe they have the best job in the world.
I love every bit of it. I've been here for 32 years and feel blessed to be here every day.
Wright works with the dozens of behind-the-scenes chief staffers to make sure everything is in the right place at the right time. He keeps practice on a tight schedule. He's part equipment guy, part trainer, and part official.
You have to be kind of an all-around jack of trades to make it go efficiently.
These staffers are true professionals, and this week they've had to come through in a pinch, especially with the ever-changing weather. Take yesterday's practice. When visible lightning moved the Chiefs indoors, Wright's team mobilized so fast, the team barely missed a beat.
Especially with a sudden change, sometimes that can be a bit of a distraction, but we got in here, we knocked it out, and our equipment guys did a phenomenal job.
Luckily, the storm clouds stayed away today.
I will tell you, I looked at it more than once.
Not just anyone can work for Wright and his team. He sifts through hundreds of resumes every season.
I try to decipher through those and find people that want to do this for a living. It made my job up here way easier.
Even though he works with dummies, his staffers are anything but. And the Chiefs couldn't practice without him. In St. Joseph, Nathan Vickers, KCTV 5 News.
So while they are not in the spotlight, they do help keep the players there. Later in sports on our KCTV News at 6, we're going to talk about LaDainian Washington, a wide receiver. Wait till you hear the story and the ordeal he went through just to be at this camp. Reporting from St. Joe, Michael Coleman, KCTV 5 News.
We'll look forward to that. Can't wait. Thank you, Michael. Thousands of firefighters are still struggling to contain Mother Nature in California.
Why they say they aren't having much luck is they try to control a blaze threatening homes.
And he might be striking a nerve with many voters, but many others don't seem to mind. Why some say Donald Trump is still leading the GOP ahead of the first debate.
And you don't have to spend a lot of money to get pretty summer feet. More people are choosing to do it themselves. But are you really getting the same result? We find out why.
Tracking storms into the metro, and here you see right behind me, this is now the view from Nebraska Furniture Mart. You can't see the speedway now as heavy rain sets in. We'll show you where these storms are heading if you need to prepare for them. And what about the rest of this evening? I think you'll like what you hear in the Storm Track 5 forecast coming up in 7 minutes.
You're watching KCTV 5